Hey, it's Vina here. Hope that you're well. Just, we've been talking in the business around what we could do and what we could share with people that might help at the moment in terms of some of the different things that are going on for everybody. And one of the things that we thought might be useful to share was some information regarding it's a psychology model, a theory model called the drama triangle. Don't worry too much about that. I will talk about that, and you can research that if you're interested in terms of the detail of everything. I'm going to explain some stuff, but basically, it's all about how do we have better conversations, which therefore will help us have better relationships and better results or a better situation sort of now, but really at any point. So I'm going to use a bit of language, so I thought it was helpful to talk about. So essentially, I'll put a line here because I'm going to talk about being above the line or being below the line. The line's just a line; it doesn't necessarily mean anything itself. But I'm talking in principle about when we're operating above the line, we're operating in a place where we're more likely to be having healthier conversations, better relationships, and then when we're below the line, we're more likely to be having less healthy conversations and our relationships are likely to be a little bit strained. I thought I would explain that because I've had a few shots at this video and I thought I'd done one and I've showed it to my husband and he was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is a line? So very simply I'm going to talk about being above the line or being below the line, and the line is just a way of me talking about whether we're in this sort of more healthier space or in this kind of more conflict related space or drama space. So yes, that's where we're going. So when we're in this drama space, which has come from the Karpman drama triangle that I referenced at the beginning, it's probably a bit of arguments, a bit of conflict, there's frustration and more likely to be feeling a sort of really a bit flat and a real sort of frustrated and as if conversations are just not being very constructive. If we're above the line, then actually we're more likely to be feeling a bit more energised and there'll be more ideas coming into things, feeling a bit more positive, or sort of positive conversations, and generally just feeling a bit good. And that's not saying everything's brilliant when we're above the line. Everyone's got difficult situations to manage now, but in life generally, and what this is saying is actually irrespective of the situation or the drama or the crisis or the conflict, actually we can probably work with each other and talk to each other in a way that is more positive and then helps us kind of move forwards. So I hope that makes sense. The next layer of detail beneath that is that below the line and above the line, there are 3 different roles that you can choose to take. And I use that word deliberately because the theory is that once we've got a level of understanding of ourselves and what's happening for us and for those around us, we can make choices about where it is we want to be. Now that is properly difficult and it's easy to say and it's hard to do, but that's the theory and that's the concept. And it's quite hard to do it in the moment, but it can be interesting to do it and reflect afterwards and think, oh, well, I wonder what happened there. And the more you do that, the more you're a lot more likely to kind of change any particular patterns of behaviour that you've fallen into. So I'm going to explain the 3 roles below the line and then I'll explain the 3 roles above the line. So below the line in our drama place, we have a victim, we have a rescuer or a hero, and we have a persecutor or a villain. Ordinarily, you would tend to see all 3 roles if you're in a drama, but you would certainly see 2 of them, and it's quite hard to stay in a drama on your own. So if you feel like you're in it, have a little nose and a look around and see perhaps who else is in it with you. Our persecutor and our victim are the roles that will ordinarily be in play, and then either of these roles tend to look for a rescuer. The rescuer jumps on in to then sort of help, and then this cycle would continue. You might find you connect with one of them a little bit more than the others, but you will probably bounce amongst all of them and will have played different roles at different times. You could even play different roles all within the same situation, which I did not long ago. And actually it was quite a personal situation. My dad was unwell, and that was one of the reasons when I recognised this is quite a powerful model, because once I'd clocked that I rolled from this rescuer role to a victim role to a persecutor role, I was able to then take some time out and actually then have some better conversations with my dad and my family, which made everything an awful lot better in what was a difficult time. So it didn't make it a good time, but it just made it a little bit of a less bad time. So yes, so our victim. So when we're feeling like a victim, or we're in our victim role, this is about poor me, I'm misunderstood, I'm at the effect of things, everything's being done to me, and we're feeling a bit powerless. So I'm not talking about actual victims in terms of victims of crime and accidents and things. I'm talking about people that are feeling like a victim, and feeling done to. So the good language there is like, it's poor me, so feeling really sorry for themselves. What our villain does is it's about blame and it's about fault. It's like, it is all your fault, or it's their fault, or even it's my fault. Actually, you can quite often be in your own head in that sort of villain role, and criticising and having a go at yourself all the time. And it's about blame, real negativity, blame, fault. There's judgment in there without necessarily knowing what's going on, but very much around, it is your fault, you are wrong. So in this kind of relationship here, saying to that person, no, not surprised you feel sorry for yourself, you're not doing anything about it, and really being kind of quite negative. Well, yeah, you have done that wrong. I can't believe you did that. I'm laughing. I spilled some water earlier, and my husband probably did this. He's like, I can't believe you did that. You always spill that water. Why are you doing that? Very silly example, but you can play with it a little bit. And then I'm going to hop on over to our hero or our rescuer. So this is the person who, in this dynamic, wants to help the victim. But by doing that, they're keeping the victim in the victim role, because the way that they're doing it is by being, poor you, let me fix you, let me solve all your problems for you, let me help, kind of reinforcing this person's view that they're not all right and that they can't sort themselves out, and that they kind of jump on in and rescue. And this person sort of gets a little bit of a hit or a nice buzz because they think they're doing good, but actually that what they're doing is keeping the victim in this state of not having that control, and feeling kind of sorry for themselves. And they're also draining themselves, because you can only sustain kind of paying more attention to other people than yourself for a while. So it's quite draining ultimately, being in that role. So there are three roles when we're below the line. So once we've realised we're below the line, what can we do about it? The theory is then we hop over the line, and that there's alternative roles we can play. So the opposite of the victim is called the creator, and when we're in this place, we really have more self-responsibility. So I can do this, I will do this. The language moves to that. We stop we stop complaining, we stop moaning, and we start working out what we can do. We might not know how to solve something. We might still feel pretty bad about whatever it is that's happening, but we take some responsibility for what it is we can do about it, or we go and find answers to things to work out what it is we can do. So yeah, very much like I can do this, and actually taking that control back. So our villain here moves to our challenger, and this person then becomes actually the really big supporter of that person. So actually you can do it, and then it's about really supporting them and helping them do whatever it is that they want to do. And it might be about giving them some ideas to think about, it might be about asking some challenging questions, it might be about putting suggestions and things in place, but basically they're believing in this individual and they're helping them by challenging them, asking questions, but it's about healthy pressure, healthy conversations. There's no blame, and that's the real difference. There's not the criticism that there is when we're kind of in this sort of more darker place. Actually, it's more like, right, I know you can do it, let's work out how. And then we're hopping across here to our other role, which is our coach. So rather than the kind of belief that the individual needs to be fixed, the belief set here is actually they can solve their own problems, and then you can help them work out how they're going to do that. So the sort of questions then are, well, how will you do it? And really believing everyone's capable of solving their own problems. So you actually might want to be your own coach at certain times. If you think you've taken yourself here, you could perhaps start to say, well, how can I do this? What can I do a bit differently? Be your own supporter. We should all be our biggest supporters, I think. But that's the principle. And then I suppose a couple of reflection points about now. What I'm seeing is quite a few people. Sometimes, particularly in like some social media, there's quite a bit of blame going on. Why are people doing this? They shouldn't be going out and about. They shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. There's quite a lot of kind of judgment taking place. The probably more healthy point around associated with that would be where there's a bit more kind of challenge or support. So to those that we know that are doing it, how can we help them around it in the workplace? Actually, is there things that we can put in place to help and support people, rather than kind of criticising what's being done or what isn't being done. Actually, you're putting suggestions, you're putting ideas in place, and you're having kind of healthy conversations and healthy discussions. And then I suppose the other thing, which is quite interesting that you're sort of seeing at the moment, is some people, most of us, I don't know, I didn't do it at the beginning, it's a bit like, I'm stuck in the house, there's nothing I can do, it's just not all right. And then you're seeing other people being like, right, I am stuck here, and it isn't great, but what I'm going to do is X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z might be sitting on the sofa and eating a load of chocolate and watching Netflix for some point, or it might be doing some exercise, and speaking to people more and different things. So the principle is about taking control, but really about having that sort of self-understanding about where you're operating. Hopefully that makes sense. So really the last couple of things just to share. So this is around helping us all think about how are we having better conversations and therefore getting better results. For us personally really, but within the workplace obviously. So I would say have a think about what role you're playing, if you do recognise that there's perhaps something going on from a drama perspective. So what role are you playing, because you'll be in that somewhere. And then really interesting is, what do you do to kind of stay above the line, or to get above the line if you need to. What is it that you do that works for you? I know for some people it's exercise, it's sleep, it's getting somebody to tell them if they think they've noticed it, or it's just realising themselves and then having a little bit of think about it. So I hope that makes sense. As I say, if you want to go and research and find out a little bit more about it, I talked here about the Cartman drama triangle and also the empowerment triangle. But yeah, give us a shout if you want to talk about any of it. I'd be really interested. Take care.